I was under the impression he wasn't friends with anyone in our group. I thought all of this was because of his line of work, as I was told he traveled a lot. Last year, my husband and I went to a barbecue hosted by another couple in the group, and Caro was there. I didn't recognize him at first, but when I realized who he was, I was honestly kind of shocked. I'd seen him in person before, but he always kept a very, very good distance from me, which I'm realizing now was intentional. Anyways, he's totally stunning and he looks like he could be a supermodel. When I attempted to make conversation with him, he seemed really nervous and totally shut me down after a few sentences. When I mentioned this behavior to anyone else, they also shut me down, saying things like that's just how he is, or maybe you said something that offended him. In short, no one would tell me anything about Caro at all. Any conversation that involved him was a no-go. At the end of that night, I tried talking to Dylan about his behavior. He told me Caro didn't like me. I was confused because I'd hardly seen him in person at all, let alone actually talk to him. The excuse my husband gave was that he disliked me because I cheated on my husband once in college, and Caro was too stubborn to let it go. I've seen Caro less than a dozen times since then, mostly at birthday parties and huge get-togethers. Anyways, a few weeks ago, my husband went fishing with his cousin. That same night, I had some of the girls in our friend group over for a girls' night type thing. Lily was scrolling through some social media. I was glancing over her shoulder when I saw a selfie of Dylan and Caro sitting next to each other in a hot tub. The selfie had been posted maybe 30 minutes ago. I asked Lily about what I had seen, and she went pale. She tried saying nothing, but I snatched the phone from her and went to the profile that posted the photo. The profile belonged to my husband. It was a private profile, and scrolling through the photos, most of them were dirty jokes or memes, but the rest of them were photos of him and Caro. They were either hanging out alone or with the rest of the group, minus me. In most of the photos, they seemed way too close, too touchy, or doing things that seemed too personal or intimate for friends to be doing. I spent a good 10 minutes looking before I couldn't take it anymore. I was horrified. All of the photos were dated to nights my husband told me he was working late, hanging out with his relative or going to hangouts I wasn't invited to. Lily just sat there looking dumb. She didn't say anything, but all the girls were looking at us like a bomb had just gone off. They clearly knew what I had seen, and their reactions were enough to confirm exactly what I was afraid of. I was livid. I started yelling, Lily was crying, and the rest of the girls were freaking out. When I started to calm down and demanded that they explain what was going on, Lily told me everything. Dylan and Caro had been sleeping together and essentially dating behind my back since before we even got married. Got together during a 1-month break me and Dylan had during college, and they stuck together ever since. They all knew, and none of them told me until I found out the hard way. Caro wasn't at our wedding because he felt guilty. He avoided me like the freaking plague because he felt guilty. They arranged group meetups in a group chat I wasn't in because they all liked Caro enough to spare his feelings. Even the guys in the group felt the same way about him, apparently. Caro was never as distant as I thought he was. He was just being hidden. Dylan was hiding him from me because he didn't want me to find out they were together. By the end of it, half of us were sobbing, and everyone who wasn't was apologizing to me. I was so angry. I made them swear they wouldn't say anything to Dylan or anyone else. I kicked them all out and cried myself to sleep. I was basically in denial, like it was some kind of sick freaking prank. My husband didn't come home until the next morning. He told me all about the supposed fishing trip he'd gone on. I didn't say anything about what I knew. I guess he could tell something was up because he kept asking me what was wrong, all day, every 5 freaking minutes. Eventually, I just told him I'd been in an argument with my sister. By the end of the week, I was totally numb. Last night, while my husband was handing out candy to kids, I saw a notification pop up on his phone. Since I knew his password, I opened it. It was a text from Caro. I looked through the conversations they'd had, and it confirmed everything. It was devastating. Dylan texted Caro the exact same way he texted me. He told Caro he loved him, and every sweet thing he said to me had been said in his conversations with Caro. I was hardly mentioned. I put his phone back before he noticed. Dylan is at work now, and I don't know what to do. I could never imagine myself leaving Dylan because he's such a loving partner and a good man. But I can't see myself winning in a competition against Caro if that's what it comes down to. I can't even make myself be disgusted or angered by Dylan. I love him too much, and I'm not even upset with Caro. But I'm so hurt, I don't want to risk losing my husband, and I don't want to share him. I called Lily and my sister this morning and told them about what I had found. They both asked what I'm going to do, and I had nothing to say. I don't know what to do at all.